must have been coming up now 6.5, 7 years ago, where, as any young person may well be doing, experimenting with drugs recreationally and smoking a bit of the magic puff, the magic dragon, or whatever they want to say about that. But I found that it didn't really work with me well. Mentally, I was very unstable from a depressive point of view for a little while, and then I found what seemed to come across very suddenly a period of my time where I was just in a different dimension, a different reality, and at that point when I was, 21, 20, found myself diagnosed with psychosis.
And how did you make sense of that initially when you were first, I guess, given that diagnosis?
I don't think anything made any sense. I mean, you're talking about a person who believes in being the second coming. And I know it's not something to really laugh about. I can only laugh about thinking about these things now because they seem so irrational. But at the time, I thought me being sectioned under the Mental Health Act actually was some sort of initiation ceremony, and I thought I was being inducted to this secret society and all kinds of, excuse the pun, craziness that I was thinking. From the culture that I come from, to be quite honest, it was a very nitty-gritty subject that not anyone really speaks about. Anyone that suffers it, you subconsciously feel as though that they're, really bad to say, but not full people, if that makes sense. You don't really consider someone that with severe mental issues as someone that you would treat like a normal person, a normal human being, if I'm honest with you. Very distorted perception that I had at that point. But obviously coming after and after the recovery that I went through, completely changed my perception on it. You know, encountering different peoples at different stages of where they are in the mental health, you know, whether they're unwell or recovering. And you just see so many people from different walks of life, and you come to appreciate that statistic 1 in 5 genuinely does hit home, that it is something that shouldn't be regarded as my previous perceptions that I described to you, if that makes sense. I think the early intervention for psychosis team was a lifeline for me. I mean, I engaged very well with them. There was I never had any disagreements. I always my perception of the team was that of one that they wanted to help, you know, that they was there to support, and that was just evident in the actions that were being taken by various members of the team at that time to kind of get me on the path to recovery. Things that you wouldn't normally expect people to help with, which was really good, from as little as trying to find your housing. I remember Sharon trying to, at one point, you know, going into the my personal life, you know, trying to make amends with my mum. I had a serious issue with my mum, so that personal touch that the team provided at that point was definitely something that I cling to as a support line.
Yeah.
I think it's the people that are employed. I think it's in anything in life. It's the people that make the difference, and for me, it was her who made the difference to me. You know, and that was the most important thing for her. I know she has a duty of care, but the actual genuine want or intention to want to help, it was what made the difference. And I think more people like that is what's needed. My idea of what Sharon used to provide was a scope of all different things. Right. So it seems as though what's happened in the duration that I've recovered in is that it's kind of specialities have kind of been designated to different CPNs, which is a good thing.
And it sounds like you're saying something about quality as well, the quality of the care.
Yeah, absolutely.
With a smaller caseload, it might be easier to provide a better
it's
quality.
Just it's a logical assumption to make, I suppose.
Yeah.
The one thing that comes to mind is negating that negative perception that people have of mental health, just as an overall brand, if you want to call it like that. You know, I know it's starting to come into the media a little bit, and it's kind of getting the attention that it's kind of needed for quite a while. But educating people, just as, and it's a phrase that I constantly come out with, but you know, we're taught at a very young age everything to do with sex education, for instance, perhaps even too young, you know, 14, 13, debatably. But I don't remember growing up as a child through secondary school ever being put through a similar you know, a similar program that explicitly explains mental health and the potential startups to mental health. What could, you know, best practices, as it were, to keep your mental health at a good to high standard, things that could affect it in a negative way, all of these things. So education is key, and, you know, as soon as you get education out there and people talking about it as much as sex education was talked about when it initially was introduced to schools, for example, that's what I believe would be your starting point to help more clients potentially. I hope I can just sort of in the future help through my own experiences, be able to help someone else's life a little bit better. That's what I genuinely hope that I might be able to accomplish. Yeah.
Thank you. And do you have any other sort of closing comments or anything you wanted to kind of say?
No, unless there's any other questions that you got.
That was it. That was the final question.
Say it. Yeah, that's it. No, just keep up the good work, and hopefully, hopefully more people out there could just understand what it's like to go through it, or just get a little bit educated. And yeah, I hope you guys continue doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
That's right. Thank you.